आसमां छूना है तो ख्वाबों को उड़ने दो, वक्त है कुछ सुनने का तो बस दिल की सुनो। आसमां छूना है तो ख्वाबों को उड़ने दो, वक्त है कुछ सुनने का तो बस दिल की सुनो। कौन हो मेरा कौन है, वक्त है समझने का तो बस दिल की सुनो। वक्त है समझने का तो बस दिल की सुनो। आसमां छूना है तो ख्वाबों को उड़ने दो, वक्त है कुछ सुनने का तो बस दिल की सुनो।
Yes. A very, very good afternoon and welcome to Tata Tea Gold's Dil Ki Suno Stories. Today we have a double dose Gurgaon Moms and we have two fabulous stories to be told. Both so inspiring and will leave you in awe and admiration for their sheer strength, willpower, and determination. So much to learn from these two lovely ladies whom we are going to meet today. So let's move to our first story. Our first guest is Saroja Sundararajan, ma'am. With her permission, I can now call her auntie. Thank you. An accomplished, multifaceted, and dedicated academic professional with 50 plus years of experience in teaching students and training teachers. She's very popular for her innovative ideas in teaching and learning while integrating it with the digital medium. There are many career highlights. I'm sure we're going to discuss all this in due course of time. But first, ma'am, a very, very warm welcome. And it is such a privilege to have you here amidst us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And so one of your latest initiative is now much talked about in media. We would like to hear from you firsthand more about it.
Actually, the thought of starting a website all started impromptu, I should say, because it was not really thought of and planned or anything like that. So during the lockdown period, I was thinking, I was just sitting quiet, and then I saw the CBSE mandate that art should be integrated as part of the curriculum and as part of every subject in the curriculum. Then I thought, why should I not integrate art with mathematics? And then normally I always like to think differently. So I said, art is not just visual art or performing art. Should we give a different connotation to art? Then I said, all right, if a child has to be good in problem solving skills, that should be an art. So art can be problem solving skills. Then again, we thought, if a child can see and appreciate patterns in numbers and shapes, that should be an art. So therefore, art can be with numbers and shapes. And then I thought, all right, if supposing a child shows spatial skills, isn't that an art? So I said, all right, very good. Art can be now integrated with maths. And then I thought, art with numbers, art with spatial skills, art with problem solving skills, even mental calculations, computational skills, that is an art. Not everyone can compute mentally. So I said, my God, I was myself really surprised that I could interpret art with mathematics in so many different ways.
Wow.
So I said, all right, now why can't I sit down and work and do worksheets? So with, I like a fever, I sat down and I started turning out worksheet after worksheet after worksheet, having all these in mind. Then I saw I had turned out 100 worksheets. I said, my God, my turnover has really been very good. Now, what do I do with all these worksheets? Who is going to use them? So then I discussed with a friend of mine, Yamuna, who's here. So she said, I've got a very good friend in Gurgaon. So why don't we write to her and ask her whether they will take up the idea of starting a website? I said, all right, starting a website, and then what? She said, no, let us price the worksheets at 10 rupees a worksheet, and then we'll get the money. I said, look, I don't want the money. What should we do with the money? Then it suddenly struck me, why can't we donate it to the PM Cares Fund? And that's how the whole thing started. And after that, everything went on breakneck speed, really. And then we discovered Shilpi, and then her son, Siddhant, who did my website, and then Basudhara, who was helping them, and so on. But I mean, of course, we went through a lot of teething problems in the beginning because, I'm a perfectionist and I can't stand anything which is not done fully correctly. So, poor boy, I was a very strict taskmistress, and I really, made him slog and slog and slog until at last, the website came out.
Okay,
Now,
so we'll take a quick look at the website.
yes,
All right, let me just go there and pull it out. So
it's mathfundsindia.com.
mathfundsindia.com, and it is a collection of worksheets available.
It's a collection of 100 worksheets.
Wow. And it says we've raised over 55,000. How lovely.
Yes. No, now actually it is nearly 80,000.
Okay. Very nice. And we are able to shop there. So we can download the worksheets there. Moms who are interested can download.
These are thumbnails for the worksheet.
Okay.
And the first two, if you click on them, then you get all the 100 worksheets for 1,000 rupees, the first two.
Oh, how lovely. Okay. And so is there a particular age group for this worksheet?
Yes, the age group is 11 to 13, that is standard 6 to 8.
Okay.
But even adults really, can enjoy working on it because it is not really syllabus oriented, but it is concept based, and also it develops a lot of thinking skills, creative skills. So it is really something which is, out of the ordinary. It is not the usual trap kind of a thing. Now, I would like to briefly point out just the highlights of the worksheets. This is one worksheet where you have a magic square, 3 by 3 magic square, and the numbers are inside. Now, magic square would mean every row, every column, every diagonal add up to the same sum. Okay? Instead of a 3 by 3 box, what I've done is I've put it to a 2 by 2 box. And all these numbers which are inside the boxes, I've transferred them into the nodes. And after transferring them, I joined the numbers in sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and back to 1. So this is the after joining. Now then I asked a very good artist student of mine, Anu Arora, to color them, and then that brought out the beauty of the symmetry in it. You can see these regions being colored here, and then it has brought out all the beautiful symmetry in it. So this is art in numbers, and look at the symmetry and everything. So when the children do this, then and here itself, it's 1:1. You can vary the ratio as 1:2. You can have 1:3. How each time the pattern changes, the symmetry changes. So it left to the creativity of the child to do it. Okay, so that is one. Now the second one is developing spatial skills. Now spatial skills means how you are able to manipulate objects or shapes into a certain, into a certain area. So that is what is spatial skills. Now here, children are asked to draw animals just with triangles. And within that, how do they use only triangles to make that shape and put them in the environment? Here there's a fish in sea, here there's a tortoise on land, and here there's a cobra on a cobbled path. So all these are made up of only triangles. So this develops spatial skills, art. I mean, everything comes into play. One would never think that mathematics is art because they'll think, oh, mathematics, how can it be art, which is such a fine subject? But here you are, everywhere you can see art in mathematics. And the third one, which is really very interesting, is here I've got a pair of mirrors, and then I've taped them at the back with a sellotape. Then what I've done is I've got this paper here where I have written words here, of course, in the mirror here it's in ulta, but here there are certain words in red and here there are certain words in black. Now, if I place the mirror vertically on top of this and then look into the mirror, of course, I don't think you can see it very clearly.
We can, we're able to.
Okay. Now you see here, the words in red look the same. whereas the words in black are all inverted. Okay?
Yes.
Now, so then when I asked children, why is it that the red words are not inverted, but the black words are inverted? They
Should
think
we
it's
ask?
something to do with the color.
Yeah. So
Okay?
should we ask if anybody from the who are watching us, if they will have the answer? Of
Can,
course.
can they answer?
Yeah. Can they answer?
Okay.
So let us see. We still haven't received any answers. So, Auntie, because you explained to me, so now I know. But
Yes,
please
I
explain
know.
to me.
But
So
what do
please,
they say?
but please do explain to others as well.
Yes, but what do they say? Any answer? Any answer from anyone?
No, we haven't received any answers as
Okay.
yet.
Now, the answer is, unfortunately, I mean, when you're seeing it here, is already, inverted. But all these words are made up of letters which have a horizontal line of symmetry. Now, that means every letter, if you draw a line, places, dividing into half, the top portion itself is a symmetrical, is a inverted symmetry of the reflection of the bottom portion. So in the mirror also it's seen the same. So we choose such letters that form words which don't invert. Whereas here, they don't have a horizontal line of symmetry at all. So therefore, they are, absolutely inverted and you can't see them because they're made up of letters which don't have a horizontal line of symmetry. So this is what it is, and it is,
Yeah,
it's
it's such a cool trick. I'm going to show this to my son. I'm sure he'll
yes,
still to take it to all his friends.
exactly.
Yeah.
And not only that, there is a very interesting activity here. Place a mirror vertically on a sheet of paper and
Okay.
write your name in small case on the paper so that it looks correct inside the mirror.
Okay.
Okay, it's be very very difficult. You just can't do it at all
Right.
because you have a tendency to write it as it is, but
Right.
you should write it in a way that it looks correct in the mirror, not here on the sheet.
Wow. Okay.
Understand?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you try that, and it's you'll find it really very difficult. So there
But
are several activities like
but
this
a
that you
lot
can
of
do with this.
moms right now are struggling to keep their kids engaged, and I think this one activity can keep the kid engaged.
Definitely,
Ask.
exactly, exactly. So what I'm trying to say is, when you're talking about math worksheets, these are not the ordinary type of math worksheets. I'm trying to tell people that it is so different from others.
Right.
They are not, syllabus based. At the same time, they do build concepts which children should learn and should know because they have a chapter on symmetry. And these things would really bring out the idea of symmetry, concept of symmetry very well.
Okay.
So, these kind of worksheets is comprised of, all of them in the website. That's what I wanted to say.
So mothers who are wondering how to keep your kids engaged and also help your children fall in love with maths, to
They
understand.
themselves, they themselves will fall in love.
Yeah.
They themselves will fall in love.
Yeah, so you will have to go to this website, mathfundsindia.com, where Auntie has uploaded close to 100 sheets. You can download it for your children. And what Auntie says is even we can benefit hugely by just working on these sheets. It's all sounds super interesting. So Auntie, there are so many things that you've done. I mean, there are so many sheets that you've put together within this short span of time, and the lockdown. Uh, whereas we see a lot of us talking about the various challenges that has happened because of the lockdown, and how did you kind of keep yourself motivated, keep the energy up, and how did you accomplish this?
That's a very good question because most people look for external motivation to do the work. But right from childhood, I've always been self motivated.
Hmm.
So, because of my self motivation, I can't rest in peace if I don't keep doing something. In fact, the reason for my sleeplessness at night is attributed to because I have a very active mind. Even when I sleep, I'm actively working out problems in my mind and thinking. So it's maddening, definitely. But
Yeah.
that is the kind of passion I have for maths, and
Wow,
I can't keep quiet until I do something new and I do something different.
it's beautiful.
So so that is the reason how I keep working. I don't look for other people to appreciate at all. I do it because I like it and I'm happy.
Yeah,
But the only thing is, I would love to share it with others so that others also benefit by it.
how beautiful is that? So I was reading through a few articles about you as well, media publications, and I realized that it was not that you were always in love with the subject maths, but something happened when you were 10 years old, and that's how you fell in love with maths. Now we hear it a lot. A lot of children are scared of maths. Some parents, we are scared of maths. So, uh, tell us, how do we help our kids fall in love with the subject?
Actually, parents have a big role to play because at home, my father, whenever we used to go out, he used to point out to cars, to house numbers, and say, "Can you look for a pattern? Every alternate number is even, or every alternate number is odd, or they add up to some number." Things like those days we used to memorize a lot of telephone numbers. These days we can't because it's all digital. But those days, all the telephone numbers used to be on the tips of our fingers, and
Right.
we had put in our mind some, kind of a pattern. Like, for example, my landline is 2 440 22 88. That means the fours when multiplied by twos give eights.
Right.
Double four multiplied by double two gives double eight. So that is how we keep thinking of patterns. So whenever, that's how we got used to it. Every time I see some number, I'll think, okay, what's the pattern of that number for me to put it in my mind? So this is what the parents should really train the children on, and they get interested because everything is with numbers around us, and children should be exposed to that kind of a questioning thinking. And if the parents themselves do that, I'm sure the children would love to really work with maths.
Yes, I'm sure. I just have a picture to share. I'm just looking for the picture as well. So, ma'am, also talk about your future projects. What are the future projects that you have in mind?
Yeah,
It's so
I have.
exciting.
Yes, I have actually two projects in mind. One is already ready, and I was supposed to conduct a workshop for teachers because I'm a director in the Ramanujan Museum, an honorary director. So I was planning to conduct a workshop for teachers on art and mathematics. And I had planned and prepared everything, but because of the lockdown, it was all cancelled. So that project is ready. And how to train, like what I have given these ideas, how to train teachers to implement this in their classroom. Okay, that's one. The other one is, might sound a little complicated, but is necessary. Because in a class, when we are teaching a particular topic, I've seen many teachers going into the classroom and say, look, this is going to be a very difficult topic. You can't understand. And that's not the way to introduce a topic. You
Mm.
see, even however difficult it might be, make the children feel at ease with the topic and introduce it with quizzes or puzzle or some anecdote or something, some interesting pattern, something, and then get the children interested and slowly induct them into the topic. So
True.
introduction to a chapter, a topic is extremely important. The second part is wrapping up. Now, at the end of a chapter, how do you wrap up a lesson? Now,
Mm.
when you wrap up a lesson, after the class is over, when the children are going out, in my class, I've seen several times, when they're just going out, they're talking to each other about the class and about what was discussed in the class. And, it carries on with them.
Right.
So that means it is in their mind. The wrapping up of a lesson is very important. So the introduction and the wrapping up, that's the two aspects to it. Then the third aspect is, have you given them, even if it's one out of box thinking question? So you give them one out of the box thinking question, and that will keep on churning in their minds, as to how we are going to solve it. So that will be enough food for thought for them before they come to the next class, and either to discuss if they've done it correctly or if they've not done it correctly to ask, how to do it.
Yeah.
So
So,
these three aspects are very important. And this is what I'm now doing for 6th, 7th, and 8th. For 8th standard, I've completed for all the chapters. For all the 20 chapters, I've completed the, what ideas I will implement. For 6th and 7th, I have to still do it. So after that, then I want to conduct it as a series of workshops, perhaps in Zoom. By the time hopefully I'll get used to Zoom, and and I will, I would like to
you
really.
were very comfortable with it. I was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised the way you were comfortable with it, and it was very easy to get you online as well.
For
Yeah.
my age, I think I'm okay, quite tech savvy. So
age has no role to play, auntie, when it comes to your enthusiasm and everything else. The energy that you have, it just trumps everything else. Yeah. So I have the photo with me, and if you could share, because I'm sure this is a very, very special moment from your past. Please tell us about this.
Yes, this was 34 years ago. I was the first CBSE teacher to be, to be receiving this Prestigious Award, National Award. And I owe everything actually to my friend, philosopher, guide, mentor, my ex-principal, Rajni Kumar of Springdale School, Pusa Road in Delhi. It was sky was the limit, and I could use anything, I could do anything. She would encourage me to do. And then if I am what I am today, I owe everything to her. She was such a dynamic person. And she was the one who introduced me because she was very happy with the innovation that I had introduced in classroom teaching. If I can talk to you about how I pioneered in Delhi as introducing activity-oriented mathematics as early as 1977. 1977, I was the first one to introduce activity-oriented teaching in maths in Delhi. And the Department of Education, they came and they sat through my lesson. And every day, for 4 days continuously, they sent other people to come and observe my lesson, and they were happy. And at that time, I did not call it math lab, but I called it math activities. But I did suggest to the board that they must have it as part of the syllabus, as part of the teaching. But then several years later, about nearly 30 years later, they implemented now, and math lab is compulsory in all the classes.
Very nice.
Standard 3 to 10. So, that is one pioneering thing that I had done. Now, the other one is that, when I used to be always in the forefront in using aids, different kinds of aids in teaching. I used to use the cassette player for listening sessions. And, I used to demonstrate to the teachers like Wordsworth poem Daffodils, when recited, children should listen to it with their eyes closed, and then whatever comes to their mind, they can easily either write another poem or they can paint a picture, whatever it is. So how it could motivate listening sessions out, even science lessons, listening sessions, they listen to it and do the activity with their hands. So those kind of listening sessions I had pioneered in my school. And the next thing was the overhead projector was the biggest, biggest thing those days. Yeah. And with the overhead projector, I had used it, in so many innovative ways. Like for example, I used to have a trough of water placed on the projector, and then with slightly colored with light blue, making it look like sea water, whatever, and then drop a piece of stone in it, and how it will cause ripples. Right. So that can be projected onto the screen. So children used to be really, for the first time, they would see it with their own eyes, projected on the screen, and see how sound waves and water waves are similar and how they are produced and so on. And then even when I was teaching levers, how I would place the scissors and other thing onto the projector and project it and show them. So these are all things that I had pioneered in Delhi and introduced, and all these innovations impressed my principal very much, and she appreciated it, and she had recommended my name for the national award.
This is, and the work that you've done, the kind of impact it has. In fact, I'm just learning a lot from you, and I'm going to use this for my son as well. So it's such beautiful work, Auntie. Thank you so much for this work.
There's just one more thing I want to say. I was the director of a teacher center in our school, where we used to conduct workshops. In our own school, I was in charge of 200 teachers of all subjects, right from KG up to standard 12, right from English language to political science or economics or whatever it is. So I used to give ideas. We used to have a teacher seminar every 6 months in July and in January. So plan meticulously what each teacher would do during the seminar days. And I used to give them a lot of ideas as to what they should do. So, I mean, if I keep telling you, it'll go on in volumes. But I mean, I just wanted to tell you that I was able to give ideas for teaching, whether it was Hindi or political science, as to how they could improve upon their teaching, in the classroom.
That's a beautiful thing. You're passionate about math and teaching.
Teaching, that's it.
So here I have a message from one of your students, Saloni Chawla, and she says, Saroja Sundararajan ma'am taught us mathematics in Springdale School, Pusa Road branch. I passed out in 1985, and I remember her to be a kind-hearted and an excellent maths teacher. She's well respected and quite popular with the students and has been active on our school group. So this is from one of your students, Saloni Chawla. And Auntie, if somebody wants to follow, because you have said as one of your future work, these worksheets for kids from grade 6 to 8. Now, if one has to look out for and buy it or purchase it or look for it, where do we go look for it?
It's on the website.
So
So
it's all come on mathfundsindia.com.
yes, that's right. All the 100 sheets.
All right. So I now have here a surprise guest. I will just get him in.
My
So
companion.
yes, your companion, your they popularly say partner in crime, but yeah, here you've created something so beautiful.
Hi. Hi, Siddhant.
And
How are you?
I'm good, Auntie. How are you?
I used to pull him out of his classes when he was having online classes.
oh, is it?
Pester him to do the changes.
I think we just did that again. So Siddhant, tell us, how was your working experience with Auntie, and how did you first get into this project? So,
So,
to the audience who are watching us, let me just quickly introduce. Siddhant is in Heritage School and he is in grade 11 now. And he has helped Auntie create mathfundsindia.com. So tell us, how did you get into this project?
okay, so my parents, they had sent out a message from their organization that they'd be willing to offer communication for people who are looking for relief funds, relief work. And so someone had reached out to my mother, and I heard my parents talk about this. So I thought a website would be the best way to get this idea forward. And yeah, so you asked me about how my experience working with Auntie has been. And so most importantly, it was a very big learning experience because Auntie is a perfectionist, and she really made me understand how the small things matter and why there's so many variables to consider when putting up a website, what all to recheck, and all of those things. So
Okay.
yeah, that was my experience, and it was also very gratifying and satisfying in the end. Yeah.
Yeah. So such experiences, they do make you more mindful of the work that you create, and before you deliver, to look twice at it and to give it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, this is such a beautiful experience. Congratulations on the website, and I'm seeing the beautiful traction that it has got, the kind of publicity that it has received, and the kind of support you. It's all done for a very good purpose. So the kind of support it has garnered is just beautiful. So congratulations. I know
Thank you.
we just got you from your in between your during your interval right now. So thank you
Yeah, yeah,
for joining us, Siddhant. Do you want to share anything else?
yeah. I feel like the website wouldn't have gotten where it is right now without Sarjanti's, corrections, constant corrections to it. And I think she also had a lot to contribute apart from just her sheets.
Okay.
And yeah, I had to learn quite a lot to, get all her feedback in the sites. I think that's all. It was a good experience.
So you're only grateful that you work with such a perfectionist. Now you know
Yeah,
how to, yeah, isn't it? She's made you more conscious and mind. Thank you, Siddhant, for joining us.
welcome.
All
Thanks,
right.
Siddhant.
Uh, so, ma'am, now you have worked with kids of different age group. Now you're looking at Gen Z. Now, what is your thing about the Gen Z, and because what is your advice to us moms on how we groom them and how we teach them, how we take care of them? Because they all, I feel, when I compare my growing up days and their growing up days, I feel they are much more protected. They're living in a very protected environment. So what is your advice to us, the parents?
Actually, I mean, things have changed exponentially, I should say, because what we had and what you had, what the children now have, they're all so different. Because, they are so much used to technology, and then all the time, either the cell phone or the video game in their hands. And I think, that is quite corrupting. In fact, I think the parents should be wary of this, because one thing I would ask the parents to do is, yes, let them have those things, but then it should be constrained and limited. Because otherwise, and if they become an addict to it, then it's going to harm them. Because for one thing, they're not going to think on their own. It's bad for the health, bad for the eyes, bad for the brains, and so on. Restrict them. Now, and then they also lose, like, for example, there are so many jokes now in the media about the lockdown time where children spend a lot of time, they're able to spend a lot of time with their parents and so on. So I think that they should allow children to be able to spend a lot of time with them. And then, as I said, the interaction is very important. And particularly, I mean, you're talking about subjects and math. If anything, whether it's maths or language or whatever it is, the parent's role is very, very important. What the parent should do is anything they should be able to imbibe in the child in an informal manner, not teach them as though they are teaching them a subject. So it should just come inside, as though, if you pour water into a sieve, it just flows down. So it should flow down into your brains. That's how it should be. So then I think, more than half the bridge is crossed. Then you'll find that children really, open up, and then they can stand on their own.
Ma'am, along with your math worksheets, it's a sincere request from me. Would love to have a parenting book, or at least a parenting a chapter written by you, because you have such beautiful tips on how to imbibe things at such a young age. And what you said is so true. When you teach them, it becomes it becomes different. But when you casually talk to them about things, then I think you leave it with them forever.
Yes, that's right. You're very. I think I will try. Maybe give me a good idea. So, how to make parents um, motivate the children to get interested in maths?
Yeah.
Maybe that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Definitely.
Okay. So you give me an idea for a third workshop of mine.
Oh yes. And your launch, the book launch has to be with us, ma'am.
Yes. Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am. Now it is time to call on our second guest. I'm just going to have her join in. So our second guest for today is Sangitha Wahi, and she is from our community. She's from Gurgaon, Mom. So many of you would
Hi,
have
Sangita.
Hi, hello, ma'am.
So many of you would have seen her, interacted with her posts. I have a short introduction of hers, though she does not need it because most of you know her, but still, I will just go through it. So she's a branding and design consultant by profession and a gardener at heart. That motivated her to launch Gurgaon's first gardening club. And she's also ventured into design education, and both her initiatives are somewhere inspired from motherhood. So she took to organic awareness when her daughter complained of toe eczema at 9, and introduced design to children at school level, seeing her strong visual observations at 2. We didn't realize, but both our guests do have something in common. Wow, okay. Yeah. Okay, that's great. So
When I was listening to ma'am, I could relate to a lot of things that she was talking with my small, interaction with children for about 4 to 5 years when I was doing design education very actively. And I really salute her that I see such inspiring people in formal education.
isn't it? Yeah.
A rare breed to find, actually.
Yeah, and such beautiful ideas, very practical and relevant
Very
ideas that she shared with us. Yeah. So coming to you, Sangita, so we see motherhood has motivated you to do several things in the past,
Yeah.
but the most recent one, it goes on to show how motherhood can push you to step out of your comfort zone, and actually it displays a lot of courage. So for those of you who don't know, because most of us have been following her timelines, but for those of you who don't know, Sangita and her daughter, they were separated during the lockdown. And then one day she realized she's just going to go drive by herself and bring her daughter back. So that is a beautiful story, and we want to hear more about it, how you went about doing it. So what motivated you to take that step? Because we know during the lockdown there are so many restrictions. How did you just get started on that?
Neela, this was a long process. I would not say it would be one particular thing which motivated me, though yes, there were a few instances which brought me to that situation. But the last point, what was that the fear factor of this disease and the uncertainty of this disease was so high. Keeping all the factors in mind, I realized that this was the safest way to bring your child home with minimum amount of exposure. You pack your child in the car with no interactions at all. Although we tried a lot of things, we tried evacuation, we tried to convince the government authorities, and nothing seemed to be working. So when we came to a point where we realized that, okay, fine, we are going to be on our own and it's not working. So somewhere I would say the parent in me which was telling me, that if you will not do for your child, who else will? I cannot expect a prime minister to look after every kid on the planet, or I cannot expect a chief minister to do it. I cannot expect the college to go out of their comfort zone and think of transporting 600 children. So this was a very uncertain situation. It was a very uncertain situation. So what I realized was that finally it has to be done by me. If not me, then who else? Because I was personally answerable to it. That was probably the driving force. And one incident that, women always inspire you. A friend of mine had sent me a link which said that a lady, I think all of us have seen that, a lady went 1500 kilometers on a scooty.
Right.
And when I realized if she can do it on a scooty, I have an SUV. So what stops me,
How beautiful. How beautiful.
So it was that simple,
So this is a story from Telangana, if I'm not wrong. Yeah.
Yes. And every day was a struggle. It was a long journey of 28 days, and there were so many friends who were connected. And this one friend of mine, an old school friend, he says, "You sound to be like someone like her. She's done it on a scooty." So I said, "Do it on a scooty. I will also do it."
See, one of the reasons why I found your story very compelling and the need to be featured here was that there were so many uncertainties around, there were so many questions around. But
Yeah.
despite all that, you decided to listen to your heart and to, leave, to go pick up your kid from Aurangabad, right? So,
Yeah.
so did you have doubts? How did you fight all that? What did you tell yourself?
One thing I used to tell myself every day was one positive statement I used to make was that I will get her home. Now, this statement I used to tell myself every day. For the 28 days that were in between. And yes, there were doubts, definitely, because we are ordinary people. We are not very well connected. We don't know politicians, and we are not powerful. And doubts in terms of the distance. Somebody would not believe that 42 hours of going and coming,
Right.
no stops, no rest, no sleepover. This was not a possibility.
Right.
We were in an uncertain situation. The uncertainty of this disease probably is bigger than the disease. I don't think the disease is that big, but the uncertainty and the lack of information that we have about the fear that is, on our heads, that was probably very, very difficult. Yes.
What did you do about food, about restrooms?
See, we decided that it is definitely going to be home cooked food,
Huh.
but there was a limitation because it was about 42 hours. And, we didn't know whether it could be more than that. We tried to pack things like, the olden times we used to travel by train and we used to eat those, rotis with, kneaded in a milk and maybe a kulcha, which doesn't get stale very fast. That was probably, we could only arrange for one day. After 24 hours, everything will go stale. So it was more of, relying on fruits and something like a coconut water. That's all we planned and took along with us.
Okay. So you keep saying that we, right? So was there somebody along with you?
Yes. I would say I am in deep gratitude to my nephew. He's supposedly my firstborn. And probably he made me a mother before I even have my own child. So he was the youngest, the strongest, and my confidence in him was very high. And most of our family people, all three of us, my husband, my brother-in-law, my sister, they were all diabetics, and I never wanted to take a chance of, taking any diabetic with me. And probably I preferred a younger, companion because I was not very confident of, at my age, I'm 51, so to drive 40 hours together was almost impossible. So a younger companion was good. And I told my sister, I remember, that this is one moment that, I would always treasure, that it's very difficult to, we may be sisters, we may be bonded, we may feel like family, but then when it comes to a situation like COVID, uh, asking someone to, give your own child, and, there was a lot of emotional, and I was probably, I was equally connected with the boy, and it was so difficult for me to ask her, tell her that, I want him to go with me. So, but we had our, it was a beautiful bonding
That's
also.
the only difficult thing, right? You had much
It's very
many
difficult,
more
you know,
difficult
you are going to save one child and you are risking another one. So that was the kind of situation I was in. But God was kind, and I remember even when I came back, and when we came back, we had so much interaction with the policemen and so many people on the road that I used to keep, nagging him and telling him, oh, आज तुमने काढ़ा पिया कि नहीं पिया, आज तुमने दूध हल्दी पिया कि नहीं पिया, because I wanted his immunity to be strong. I knew he's had so much of interaction with so many people, and in some instances, in spite of our, insistence, we used to tell the police walas, please don't let us, come down. And you see our passes from just the, windscreen or from the, we just walk
down, step out.
but some of them were very stubborn. They were very rude also, and they did not agree. They wanted, to make an entry in the register and all. And even if I used to insist that, you sit, I'll go outside, he never used to let me go. I mean, being a son, he never used to let me go, and he used to say, and
I'm so proud of this young generation.
one incident I really, as you said, the challenges. It was about 12:30 in the night, and we were on a deserted road, which was, which had wild on both sides, and there was a check booth. It said it was a check booth, but the moment we stopped the car, we saw a couple of, five, I think about 7, 8 men, and now those men were not in uniform.
Okay.
Now, when they're not in uniform, you really don't know. You're going to stop the car. Are they really cops who are just stopping you for check? Or are they some, negative elements, or some people who are going to, bring you trouble? So when he stopped the car, he was very nervous. And I still remember, when we had packed everything, we had packed our hockey stick with all the stuff that we had packed. And, he held my wrist and he said that, must you just lock the car the moment I get down, right? And he gave me a signal of the, hockey stick at the back. And he said, he just moved out of the car and he went. And luckily, though, they were police cops, but the only thing was they were without uniform. They were having their dinner. Someone was drinking. So the scenario was very shady, when you get down. But after that, we realized that, we may be very tired. We may be driving down. We drove the entire night, but we did not stop the car. Even when we were not, it was not possible for us to drive. We were dozing off and we were sleeping off.
How
And
many hours non-stop drive was that? How
it
many
was
hours non-stop drive?
one side 21 hours.
Wow.
One side was 21 hours. It was really tough. The night drive was really tough. Yes, morning was comfortable because we were driving 2 hours, 2 hours changing wheel on within 2 hours.
Yeah.
But night we came to a point where we could not drive for more than 40-45 minutes also. So we just we said it's safer to change the wheel within 45 minutes rather than to land up into any kind of an accident or doze off or any kind of a casualty. So we just meant, I told him, I said, we don't need to show off to each other, we don't need to show sacrifice to each other. So the moment you feel that you cannot drive, just tell me. And I do the same thing, that when I felt that, okay, now I can't drive. So I used to just, give the wheel to him. So that was the toughest part, I would say. Rest was easy. Rest wasn't very difficult.
People who know you, Sangita, we all know that one thing that strikes about you is there is no sugarcoating of things. You just like it as it is, right? And that helps. That helps, especially in situations like these. By the way, so how did your daughter feel about the whole thing? And I have a nice video here. Let me just share that.
Yeah.
It's your birthday, yes it is your birthday, it's your birthday, yes it is your birthday, it's your birthday, yes it is your birthday. We are fucking psyched. You're 1 year older than you were before. You're 1 year older than you were before. You're 1 year older than you were before. We are fucking psyched. It wasn't so long ago. Your mom was in the hospital.
That is beautiful. So was yours a lockdown birthday?
Yeah, it was a lockdown birthday. And when she had booked her tickets on the 13th of March, the only happy thing that she was looking forward to was my birthday. That
Okay.
she was home on my birthday, and that couldn't happen, of course. And then Zoom saved us, kind of. So she planned it that at least, although I was in no mood, I don't know, a lot of complaints I got from many friends. I did not answer any call that day. I did not speak to anybody. I did not accept any wishes. But by the time, it was
But
evening.
how did you feel about the whole, when you said that you were going to come and when you reached there and in between, she must have felt anxious.
Yeah. See, I would say overall, we were interacting with a lot of parents at that time, and I used to hear a lot of anxiety from parents, and the children are very anxious, and the children are very, very uncomfortable. They are, feeling very difficult to cope up in the situation. But I'm really proud of my girl there, that she adjusted to the situation very well. She said this comes from one of her teachers, that if you cannot change something, endure it. So that's what she used to live. And of course, the fear was there. But initially, when I told her that I'm trying to, get permissions and I want to come and I want to pick you up, and there doesn't seem to be any other way happening. So she was trying to push me off, because she also thought it was too much to ask for or too much to imagine that, somebody could pick up the car and, drive 40 hours and come and go. It seemed very impossible, honestly speaking, for me also to initially believe this, that it is doable. It was very difficult to, yes, her reaction once the pass was in my hand and when I sat in the car, yes, then came the real her, and then I could see that she was looking forward to, and she was desperate. That that's what video that I shared. That the video that only video that I made was that after that wait of 20 hours, the last 1 hour, when I was just about to reach Aurangabad, so she was telling me, share the live location and share the videos with me. Where are you? Because for children also, it was a very, very unconventional and a very they were not prepared for this. 28 days of lockdown, and not only lockdown, but the fear of a patient in college. They had a case in college on 13th of March. So that was a faculty. So that fear of the disease was very big on their heads. They coped it, they were coping it fine, but it wasn't easy, you know. Like today, even you and me here, there's a patient 200 meters, we feel so scared. Now here it was a teacher who had interacted with them, who had been with them for a week. So the fear was very high.
Yeah, it's
Fear
not
was
easy.
very high. So it was a relief actually, once you, and as I said, when I reached and, the college said that, okay, fine, you can do, transfer the, luggage and everything into the car. And what I see is that the biggest hug is given to the brother, the big brother who had gone. And it was not me who got that big hug, but that's fine. But they were both in tears. Yeah, both in tears.
Yeah, but
As a parent, you have to be stronger than, your children always.
yeah,
Yeah.
but all is well that ends well, and I'm so glad that you were able to bring her back, and
Yeah.
you're all safe, and that is what matters now, isn't it?
Yeah. And yeah, one thing I want to mention here is that I always say this, that when uh, I don't see any help, and I'm very desperate to solve any problem. It has happened in the past, and you must have seen the post. Others must have seen the post in the last 3-4 years. Whenever I'm in a situation when I don't find a way, it's always our community. I don't know. I just surrender to the moms, and when I posted this, it was first for the prayers, and I saw so much response, so much of love and affection from co-mothers, people reaching out to you, calling you up, sending you messages, sending you prayers. It was such a beautiful experience. I connected with I was an IHM parent, but I could connect with the mothers only through the media. I had no other way to connect with the parents. I did not know any parent in NCR. And today I know so many of them, and we are so well bonded, and we are, we stood by each other during this whole of journey of 28 days.
Thank you so much, Sangita. I'm glad the community was of use to you during your.
Definitely. And it's always been like this. It's always been like this. But I know it's not only me, it's so many other people I see. Sometimes we have a very petty challenge. And that petty challenge also we feel, oh, this is going to work like magic, Let me ask it here, I'll get the answer. So it was like that. Yeah, it was like that. And prayers definitely work.
Prayers.
The divine intervention was definitely there. I connected to a few people who organized prayer meetings. I could probably get my permissions and my passes for straight travels. All through, I would say there was a divine intervention. Definitely, things went very smooth for me. Most of the parents had a lot of problems who went later on, and when children were transferred in buses by the college themselves. So there were a lot of issues because things were getting worse day by day. One thing that worked in my case was a fast decision, a quick decision. Although I felt I was 15 days late, but still it was a quick decision because things were not that bad on the roads. Road travel was easy. Now, if you see, the road travel is very difficult.
True.
It is becoming worse day by day. The cases are increasing. If you see the city of Aurangabad, it's in a mess completely now, with more than 1,000 cases. And when we did it, it was hardly 50 to 70 cases at that time. So the city was really peaceful at that time as compared to what it is today. So these are the dynamics which were more scary, I would say. It was not the travel or go by car or food and all those things. They were very small, things which were challenges. But the major challenge was about how this disease can, go out of hands any moment. And we were following the Aurangabad news, and we were seeing the things in the government hospitals were very bad. The number of patients and the way they were treated. So see, like you and me are in Gurgaon, we are in NCR, and we know the kind of facilities we have in Gurgaon. So what do you expect out of a small city of Aurangabad, which otherwise also doesn't have very big, medical facilities, not even private ones.
Yeah, but I'm so glad you just reached there in time and got her out here. I hope you had a befitting celebration, because I'm sure you would have needed some time to recover as well. So I hope you had some befitting celebrations.
Honestly speaking, we did not have any celebration. You know? One, it was like when we came
Hope a celebration enough.
when we came back, he was so dog tired, you know, like it was like
Imagine, yeah.
back. You know, we slept like horses for 20 hours together.
Good.
So the whole day was, you know, we just slept and did nothing.
But thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us, Sangita, and sharing with us
My,
your
my,
journey.
my pleasure.
And thank you, ma'am, for
Thank you.
joining us today.
Thank
Both
you very much.
it was not just follow your heart, but one more thing that came out was, there's a lot of promise in the younger generation. So, like in ma'am's case, Siddhant has beautifully worked with ma'am and created that website. And in your case, how your nephew has helped you,
Yes.
through the entire exercise. So there is a lot of promise in the younger generation. And moms, listen to your heart and follow your heart. And that's our message for today.
Your title is absolutely perfect. That where there's a mom, there's a way. That's exactly what I say. A mom can do everything.
True. Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, Neela.
Thank you,
And
ma'am.
Sangita, I'm really very impressed. Wish you all the very best. I said I'm really very impressed and wish you all the very best.
Yes, thank you so much. And you're doing this wonderful work. Please continue.
Thank you.
Great.
Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone, for
Thank
joining
you.
us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.